Hello, my name is Marilyn Mills, and I'm a New Hampshire clinical dietitian in partnership with Hannaford Supermarket. I just want to say thank you to Goffstown Library for bringing our class to you today on healthy homemade gifts. You know, gift cards are really nice, and so are store-bought candles. But when it comes to holiday gift giving, I might suggest that this year you consider creating something that's practical, personal, and even delicious for the people that are on your list. Because a homemade gift done well is a wonderful thing for both the chosen giftee and for you, the gift giver. Yes, you will need to spend a little bit of time on these gifts, but that's part of what makes them so special. You'll probably save some money too. And homemade doesn't always have to mean sweet, although we do have something sweet on our do-it-yourself list today. There are ideas that we can keep health in mind as well as good taste. So we have 3 do-it-yourself gift ideas today. We have a homemade salt-free herb and spice blend. We have a lentil curry soup in a jar, and we have dark chocolate avocado truffles. And so our first one is our salt-free herb and spice blend. You know, these days I have noticed that so many more people are cooking and baking at home, and in having the seasonings on hand to create these recipes is crucial. And right now, there is a lot of issues with stocking some of your basic herbs and spices. So one of the best do-it-yourself healthy gifts is to create a salt-free seasoning, and one of the best ones is an Italian seasoning blend. So we're going to start with some oregano leaves, and we have 3 tablespoons worth. And if you notice, the type of jar that I'm using is probably familiar, but it's actually perfect for the size of the herbs and spice that we're going to be using. So we're going to just take about 3 tablespoons of the oregano leaves, and you can certainly pre-measure out your spices and line up your jars, because if you do that, you will probably save some space and save some time, which is actually going to be one of the ingredients in here, that is thyme. We're going to first put some marjoram in. A lot of people ask me, well, what can marjoram be used for, Marilyn? Well, it's actually very, very mild, and it's used for a mild poultry, turkey breast, chicken breast, or even a white fish. So something like a cod or a haddock can benefit. Marjoram can also be used on some of your meats as well, okay? So our next one is going to be a teaspoon of thyme. And so we're just going to change that out to be a teaspoon. And thyme is very potent. So when you are using it, make sure that you are paying attention to the amount, because too much could be overpowering. So 1 teaspoon is what we're going to use today. And this is really packed in this jar so nicely. Alrighty. And we're going to use 1 tablespoon of basil. Now, when we're using things like oregano and basil, did you know that these are actually digestive aids? You know, when you think about it, what do we use these in? We use these in tomato sauces, perhaps tomato type soups or stews. And the reason that we do that is because they are going to help you with your indigestion, that acid reflux. Both basil and oregano actually can be assisting your digestive state of. Okay, so our last ingredient is a tablespoon of garlic powder. And again, when we're looking at, you know, what is the power of garlic, would you believe that 1 tablespoon is probably going to be equal to 2 cloves of garlic? How convenient is it to have it in our nice jar here? So now what you see is we have our do-it-yourself, salt-free, jar, and what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna shake it up slightly, okay, so that we can see that it's very well mixed. And again, how would we use something like this? Well, maybe as I'm decorating it, I'm going to, use something like a favorite tag or favorite bow, and maybe I'm going to put a recipe with it. Hopefully what comes to mind is something as simple as a can of diced tomatoes and a good hefty 2 tablespoons of our salt-free do-it-yourself mix, and want to put, a favorite tag on something like this to personalize it to and from, right? And you know what else I'm going to probably put on something like this? I'm going to put on a set of measuring teaspoons and tablespoons so that the person who's getting this gift will be able to also take the time to measure it out properly in their favorite recipes. So here you have it. This is your do-it-yourself salt-free Italian seasoning. Now, I've been a Hannaford dietitian in the supermarket for nearly 18 years, and I have always done a do-it-yourself holiday recipe class. And no matter what, this next recipe is the one that everybody requests over and over again, and it's called lentil curry soup. Don't be afraid about that word curry. It's not a super spicy soup, but boy, is it full of flavor. So we're going to start with some type of an open face jar. Make sure that it will probably hold somewhere around 1.5 cups so that you have enough space. For the sake of visuals today, and if you were attending a class, we actually would use these wonderful 16-ounce containers. And this way you can get to see all the layers that go into making this lentil curry soup. So first thing that we're gonna start with is our red lentils. And if you are wondering, well, why are red lentils orange? Well, that's again just the color that they are. And they're so beautiful in this particular gift jar that I love to always use them. So the recipe calls for about 1/2 pound, and since this bag is about 16 ounces, then you can bet that we're going to actually use about half of the package. Now, what I like to do is I like to layer them. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to put in about half of the amount that I need right now, and then we can add the other half, okay? So we have our beautiful red lentils here, and next we're going to use the same amount in green lentils. Now, green lentils definitely are olive green in color, and they are going to cook and be a grayish color. So once again, the recipe calls for 1/2 pound. So we're only gonna put 1/4 in right now, just so that you can see the different layers. So we'll put that in front here. And so when I have a class like this, I love to see the different layered creations that everybody can come up with. Lentils are super high in protein, and they're super inexpensive, and they are going to cook down to be a creamy mixture in this particular layered soup. So again, I'm going to just add the rest of the lentils that are orange, and hopefully you can start to see that little bit of red and green, or maybe orange and green, right? Now, when we take a look at making a soup recipe like this, you could take several jars and line them all up with a big bowl of red lentils and a big bowl of green lentils, and then with your measuring cup you could just scoop them into your jar. And then the next ingredient, see how beautiful that is? I love the way that comes out. So you can layer those in your desired gift jars, and we're going to do the seasonings and spices next. Now, this next one is some salt. Now, again, if you're looking at not wanting to use a whole lot of salt, that's definitely up to you, because the liquid that we use to make the soup is water. And so that's why it's okay to put a little bit of salt in it. You don't have to use a whole teaspoon and a half like the recipe calls for, but you can certainly do a couple of grinds of your favorite sea salt and maybe call that a pinch. And hopefully you remember that a pinch is about 1/8 of a teaspoon. The next thing that we're going to use is about 3 tablespoons of either chopped or minced onion. I love to buy it dried like this because then I don't have to cry while I'm making my soup. And again, for every 2 tablespoons of minced or dried or chopped onion, it's equal to a 1/2 cup of fresh onion. So again, when they open up this particular gift jar, they're going to smell the wonderful onion smell, but there won't be any tears involved, except tears of joy, right? So we're going to use about 3 tablespoons. And again, in fashion of trying to create a little bit of a layered artistic holiday gift here, I'm just putting that light layer of onion on top. Next is going to come our apples. Now, it's not easy to find dried apples, even if we're in apple season. So I am using, if you've never heard of them, freeze-dried apples. Freeze-dried apples are wonderfully flavorful and fragrant, and they actually melt in your mouth. So if you have access to a dehydrator and you're able to dry your own apples, that's wonderful. This particular recipe is calling for about a 1/2 cup of dried apples, and it tells us right on the back about that portion. Now remember, there's no sugar added, there is nothing added here at all. We are definitely just using the apple slices. Now my last 2 ingredients are going to be curry powder and garlic powder and some parsley. So again, in the spirit of trying to get a little bit of color in there, let's do a little bit of the parsley, and that is going to call for 1 tablespoon. And I'm just going to sprinkle that beautiful green leaf. And you know what parsley does for you? Parsley is really more of a breath mint, if you so to speak. You know, it works way down deep in the stomach, helping to neutralize some of the odorous fragrance of garlic and onion. So parsley is a wonderful thing to add to our soup. So next we're going to use our curry and our garlic powder. So the garlic powder, again, like the onion, is going to provide lots of flavor, but we don't have to deal with our cloves creating some type of odor on our hand. We're going to get lots of flavor. And once again, when you use about a teaspoon of garlic powder, that's equivalent to a clove of garlic. We don't need that much in this particular recipe. We just need a 1/2 teaspoon. So we're just gonna put that 1/2 teaspoon in our soup. Alrighty. And then last but not least is our curry. Now, 1 tablespoon of curry should do it. And again, the odor of curry sometimes scares us into thinking that it's spicy. There are all different types of curry, and curry is yellow because of the turmeric, the anti-inflammatory flavor. Doesn't really have a whole lot of flavor, but it's curcumin, which is the anti-inflammatory ingredient that you're going to find in your turmeric. And then spices like coriander, black pepper, and sometimes allspice or cloves might be added to your curry. And again, when they open up this beautiful gift jar, they're going to be hit with that wonderful curry. that garlic as well. And you just want to make sure you put a tight lid on your soup mix. So again, if we were looking at a jar, you want to just make sure that you've got the bell jar lid with the screw cap, and that should be enough to keep all of these particular ingredients ready for you to gift out. Now, what can we put in with this beautiful soup mix? Well, the recipe calls for you using about 7 cups of water, but you could use maybe 3 cups of water and 1 container of some type of vegetable broth, low sodium vegetable broth, or bone broth such as this chicken broth. So if you want to keep it completely vegetarian, then go with a veggie broth and water. If you're looking for a little bit of flavor, a little bit of a different type of protein, bone broth is made from the bones, and therefore it's going to have more protein in it than just vegetable broth. Don't forget to put in a beautiful bowl, a beautiful soup bowl, and maybe even a holiday placemat so that they have what they need to enjoy your beautiful lentil curry soup. So now we're ready to make our third do-it-yourself healthy homemade holiday gift. And this one is a sweet, and it's dark chocolate avocado truffles. Now, it's okay to have some sweets during the holidays. I don't know any holiday that doesn't allow for us to have some sweets. But too much saturated fat and too much sugar may not get you to the health goals that you've set for yourself. So this dark chocolate avocado truffles is the perfect way to have your sweet, have your chocolate, but have less saturated fat. We are gonna start with some semi-sweet or dark chocolate morsels. What you want to do is use about 5 ounces, which is exactly half of a package, and that's going to be making 20 truffles, depending on what size you like them to be. Sometimes people like them smaller, and so you could actually get twice as many truffles. And they are very, very rich type of bite, and savory and sweet. So we're gonna start with melting our chocolate, and you can do that right in the microwave. Just be right there to watch it because you don't want it to burn. So we have in here our melted morsels, and we want that consistency to be just like this because we're going to add to it our other creamy ingredient, which is avocado. Now, hopefully you can see on my table that I have a beautifully ripe avocado. Remember that you're gonna feel for the ripeness of your avocado. I prefer avocados from Mexico, and you're going to feel it. You don't even have to look at it. You just have to feel it with your fingertips, and as it gives, then we know that it's ripe. But because we wanna make sure that this is more ripe than just ripe, we want it to be softer. Now, I have a preferred tool. When I cut my avocado in half, I like to cut it in half this way, and then I scoop that avocado meat right outside into my pan. And I have other very simple tool. It's called a potato masher, but I call it my avocado masher. And the reason that I like to use that is because I think it really does a good job at trying to get it to that proper consistency. And again, you can use 2 forks and mash it together. If you've ever been in a restaurant and ordered guacamole, you would see that the person can definitely get to the best chopped texture by using 2 forks. But we actually need it to be smoother than that, and we don't need a food processor unless that's something that you feel very comfortable using, where you would just take 1 avocado, the meat of that, put it right into the food processor, and you can get it smooth. But I'll tell you, I find that my little bit of wrist action and my potato masher gets me the right soft smush consistency. So now we're just going to add that right into our melted chocolate. And you can definitely, add a little and stir. And I know you're thinking, I can't even believe that she's putting avocado in there. But you'll never know because chocolate covers all in terms of both the flavor and the color. Okay, so we're just going to add that little bit of full avocado mixture in there. Don't have a spatula on me, so you may want to have a spatula in order to get every drop, a rubber spatula that is. Alrighty. And we're just going to mix that in there. But now we need a little bit more chocolate flavor, but we don't want to add more fat. Certainly we don't want to add more, more sugar. So we're going to use baking cocoa. So baking cocoa for every 20 truffles, it's going to call for about 2.5 tablespoons of the cocoa powder. Remember, this is bitter, and we need that little bit of bitterness to bring out that chocolate flavor. We're going to, again, just stir that in there, and we're going to add our vanilla extract and some chia seeds for just a little bit of crispiness. And again, remember that chia seeds like to have moisture, so they're going to definitely take on some of the moisture and add a little bit of what's called omega-3 and fiber. So chia seeds can be found in all different size packages, and I've measured out our tablespoon right here. And again, we're just going to stir that in. Then we're going to add our vanilla, which will probably be somewhere around 1/2 teaspoon, but I am a little bit of a fanatic on both cinnamon, which is another thing you could add in here, but 1/2 teaspoon of your vanilla. I'm sorry I don't have my measuring spoon on me just at the moment, but trust that it is 1/2 teaspoon. And then we want our flavor from the same amount of cocoa. You can use maple syrup or you can use honey. And we're going to need about 2.5 tablespoons. Now, I like maple syrup only because it's liquidy and it's not as, it's more liquid than thick. So that's kind of the reason why I prefer to use that. But if you don't have any real maple syrup on hand, but you do have honey, by all means, go ahead and use that. And again, equal amounts of cocoa, equal amounts of honey or sweetener. And that's about 2.5 tablespoons. So now we have our mixture, and we're just going to make sure that we stir it up well. And as we are stirring that up, remember that chia seeds having fiber, they are going to expand in this particular concoction. And so that is going to give you a tiny bit of crispiness and a good for you truffle. Alrighty, so what do you think that we need to do next? Well, the directions tell us that we can either freeze this mixture or put it in the refrigerator for a good half an hour. I'm going to get our mixture ready so that we can be ready to roll. All right, and I just wanted to show you that you really cannot see any green. Okay, that chocolate has been covered up, and we're going to put this right in the refrigerator and bring back our refrigerated mix in order to make truffles. So now I've taken the mixture for our dark chocolate avocado truffles out of the fridge or even the freezer. If you don't have a whole lot of time, you just want to make sure that the consistency is right, okay? Because you're going to get ready to roll. And what am I choosing to roll in? Well, I have two choices. I have some beautiful, colorful holiday jimmies, or I have some snowflakes. The other thing that I love is chopped walnuts. So these are California walnuts, and if you have a walnut fan, I would say you would want to do all three of these. So I'm just going to show you how to roll, and again, you would probably get anywhere from 20 different truffles from that mixture. Now the first one will be a little bit tough to see on the white, but I think you'll get the idea. And so then we just take, you can take a scoop, or a small scoop, or you can even take a spoon. But if it's the right texture, then it's not going to leave a whole lot of chocolate on my hands. And again, I would just kind of put that right into the sprinkles or the snowflakes or the California chopped walnuts. And what I really love about this is that this is a recipe that kids can do too, kids of all ages. And whenever I serve them in the store, or obviously to my giftees, they say there's no way that these are dark chocolate avocado. I don't taste any avocado. And I always remind them that they probably won't taste the avocado because of that wonderful dark chocolate flavor, which gives us antioxidants and that sweetness, just the right amount with the maple syrup or the honey, whatever your choosing is. So here you have it. Do it yourself. Dark chocolate avocado truffles, and you can put them in a favorite holiday jar to give away. You don't have to keep them refrigerated. They're actually going to stay just fine like this. Of course, you want to give some love along with that, okay? Some heart health, right? And this is a fridge pack, so if you did want to pop this in the freezer and put that on your gift jar, you absolutely could do that. Now you can see that your Hannaford dietitian has some great ideas for keeping you and your favorite persons on your guest list healthy too. I hope that you enjoyed our do-it-yourself healthy holiday gift ideas, and we can make all of these recipes that we created with you today available through Goffstown Library's website. And if you want any more information about food, about nutrition, about fun and healthy eating ideas, then you can go to hannaford.com dietitians. And we also have Eventbrite classes that you can sign up for other health topics as well. And I want to thank you again, Goffstown Library, for bringing this class to you. And I wish all of you healthy and peaceful holidays.